A woman opens up to News 3 concerning the prison time a hit-and-run driver will serve following a deadly crash involving her brother.
So hopefully this year, with the state of politics, I think more and more people are engaged.
There's a push going on right now at schools in the Big Ten to get young adults to the polls. The friendly competition taking place this midterm election tonight at 6.
This is News 3 at 6.
Thanks for joining us. A woman who believes the man who killed her brother in a hit-and-run crash last year received an unfair prison sentence.
27-year-old Francisco Martinez was sentenced to 6 years in prison after hitting and killing 30-year-old Curtis Bonds near the town of Westport. Jamie Perez spoke with Bonds' sister about how this has impacted her family. Jamie?
All right, so the woman that I spoke with says she's extremely devastated by the whole outcome of this. She says Martinez's sentence should have been longer in her eyes, and that long after he gets out of prison, she will still be picking up the pieces left behind.
It was pretty much a nightmare. It was Mother's Day morning.
At this spot in May of last year, 27-year-old Francisco Martinez hit and killed 30-year-old Curtis Bonds in a hit and run.
My kids were devastated when they found out.
Bonds was walking along this highway when he was struck. Police found Martinez up the road a few hours later, asleep at the wheel with the child in the car, believed to be intoxicated. Martinez was sentenced to 6 years in prison, a sentence Curtis Bonds' sister says is not enough.
So it's like an ongoing thing in Wisconsin, and it doesn't seem like they take it seriously enough, and it's not, the punishment just isn't a big enough deterrent.
A hit-and-run conviction carries a maximum sentence of 25 years. Sonia said because police couldn't prove Martinez was drunk at the time of the hit-and-run, he got a lesser sentencing.
I mean, Judge Highland spoke about it at sentencing. He referenced the fact that legislators made it to where the maximum sentence for hit and run causing death would be the same as what it would be for DUI causing death, so that people wouldn't be able to avert responsibility for that by fleeing the scene. And that's exactly what Francisco Martinez was able to do in this case. He got a lesser sentence because they couldn't prove that he was drinking at that very moment when the crash happened, because it was hours later when they caught him.
While this is just one family story, Sonia says she speaks for many.
Almost a culture in Wisconsin. It really is. It's taken a lot more seriously in other states. They let a lot of things go in Wisconsin.
She added that while Martinez will get out in what she thinks will be less than 6 years, she'll still be healing long after that.
I don't think that the law is doing what it's supposed to do in this instance, which is to, not only fairly punish according to what the crime was, but also to deter other people from doing it in the future.
Martinez was sentenced to 6 years of extended supervision on top of his conviction of a hit-and-run causing death, operating a motor vehicle while revoked causing death, and third offense operating a motor vehicle while intoxicated.
Jamie Perez reporting tonight. Jamie, thank you. Police say a woman was driving drunk when she crashed into a home on Madison's west side yesterday morning. A father, toddler, and baby were inside that home and were just feet away from where that vehicle crashed. Police arrested 22-year-old Morgan McKenna of Oregon. The incident happened in the High Point Estates neighborhood on Madison's west side.
Investigators need 2,000 people to help in the search for missing Wisconsin teen Jamie Kloss. They will spend tomorrow searching an area near the Kloss family home in Barron. Investigators are also looking for 2 vehicles in connection to Jamie's disappearance: a red or orange Dodge Challenger and a black Ford Edge or an Acura MDX. Officers were called out to the Kloss home last Monday to find Jamie's parents, Denise and James, dead. 13-year-old Jamie was not there, but police believe she was home when her parents were shot. They believe that she is in danger and not a suspect in her parents' deaths.
We have not ruled out anything. We continue to look at this, from above to look at all of the aspects, and that's why every tip is important.
A gathering of hope is being held right now for Jamie at the Barron County High School. If you spot any of the vehicles of interest, you are asked to call the tip line that you see there on the bottom of your screen. If you see Jamie, please call 911.
Absolutely beautiful start to the work week in Wisconsin. Chief Meteorologist Gary Canalti now with our first alert forecast. Gary?
Too bad it won't last. Tomorrow and Wednesday will be sunny, but temperatures will be cooler. As we take a look at visible cloud track, Hardly a cloud to be found anywhere across the state of Wisconsin. That led to chilly temperatures this morning. Here in Madison, we dropped to 30 degrees with many locations away from the city. We're in the upper 20s. High temperatures, though, warmed up very quickly in the dry air. We were in the lower to middle 60s. Here in Madison, we topped out at 62. Temperatures are still in the upper 50s to the lower 60s, but by tomorrow morning, we'll be in the middle 30s with clear skies. Tomorrow will be sunny, but about 10 to 15 degrees colder with high temperature here in Madison around 49. That's your first alert forecast.
Gary, thank you. It took just a few months for the Department of Justice to award $100 million to Wisconsin schools, all with the purpose of improving school safety. Amanda Quintana here now in studio with more on the final grants that have been given out. Amanda?
Yes, well, that first round of grants was for more physical additions to school safety, things like video surveillance, shatterproof glass, and classroom door locks. The second round of grants are more focused on mental health and training for school resource officers and teachers, like this training you see here. With some of the remaining money, the DOJ has vowed to send 10% of all teachers, or 7,500 Wisconsin educators, to this adolescent mental health training. Today, the group touching on the anxieties many students face and how PTSD could be mistaken for ADHD.
What's going on? And he's going to say nothing. But, talk to him and say, Mike, what things about school really make you crazy? If you could change anything in this situation, what would you change? And try to empower him to give us some ideas that would really make it better for him.
The DOJ has awarded the final $45 million in grants to 39 schools and districts, including Sun Prairie. Some of the about $6 million left over will also go to creating an app and a tip line for anonymous threat reporting and creating an emergency response fund in case a crisis happens at a school. Now, some of that money has been used in the last week to send therapists and an SRO with a therapy dog and additional training to Barron County to help the schools there that are dealing with the disappearance of Jamie Kloss.
Amanda Quintana in studio with us tonight. Amanda, thank you.
Voter turnout tends to be the lowest among people aged 18 to 24, and that is why UW-Madison has a number of efforts this week to bring college students to the polls. Bucky Badger was on Library Mall today to encourage students to make a plan about how and when they will vote. UW is joining the other schools in the Big Ten Conference for a voting challenge where the universities with the highest voter turnout and the most improved turnout get trophies. Early voting kicked off today on campus and runs through November 2nd. We asked students why they decided to cast their ballot today.
I'm busy on election day. I have class all day, so I wanted to make sure I had time to vote because it's such an important election this year. So it's amazing that they had it here on campus. I was studying here and just took a break to go vote.
These voting efforts are especially important because between the 2012 and 2016 presidential elections, voter turnout decreased at UW-Madison. That is concerning to political science professors because turnout was up at most college campuses around the country. And those professors are now trying to figure out what happened here and how they can change that going forward.
Former presidential candidate Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders kicking off a big week of big rallies in Wisconsin just 2 weeks before the midterms. Hundreds of people gathered today on the UW-Milwaukee campus for this rally. Senator Sanders hopes Wisconsin residents will re-elect Democratic Senator Tammy Baldwin and will vote Governor Walker out of office. He also stressed the importance of voting, saying the last midterm election had the lowest voter turnout since World War II.
And people saying it's a midterm election, I don't have to vote, and they stayed home. And working people stayed home, lower income people stayed home, people of color stayed home. Young people stayed home. Not this time is exactly right.
Today's event comes at the start of a week where President Trump and former President Obama are both scheduled to host their own rallies here in Wisconsin. A state President Trump won, but where Democrats are now feeling confident. Meanwhile, the governor speaking at Gateway Technical College in Racine County today. This was at the groundbreaking for a major expansion at the college there. He says Senator Sanders' visit to the state shows again how Governor Walker's become a national target for Democrats. Today, he said he remains concerned about complacency among his supporters, and he says Tony Evers winning would send the state in the wrong direction.
Tony's taxes would be a recipe for a return to recession. We can't have that in this state. We saw in this county, when I was running 8 years ago, unemployment was over 11%. It's now down to 4%. We've got to turn things around.
The governor says he'll join the president Wednesday night at that rally at Central Wisconsin Airport in Mosinee. That rally begins at 6:30 p.m.
It is that time of year again when we see farm equipment go from the fields to the roads.
What farmers hope you'll remember this time of year. That's next at 6. It is harvest time for Wisconsin farmers, and this summer's rain means they're in quite the rush to get everything done.
So don't be surprised if you see more farming equipment than usual this time of year. Chris Lewinberg has the story.
Now we're ready.
This year's harvest has been roadblock after roadblock.
But this is one of the most challenging falls we've ever had. We've never had this kind of water issues and stuff out there, and the crop is good, but we got to get it off the fields yet.
To David Smithback, it seems like the hardships won't slow their roll.
The biggest challenge of the year is transporting down the road, getting to where we need to be. The traffic problems are just a nightmare out there.
If all the close calls were cars, then they'd be a pileup on the highway.
Oh, they want to turn, and I can't turn without them. There you go.
It's more common than you would think.
We're unloading in a semi. We're on a narrow road. We had an employee stand in front of the semi, and a car went through between the semi and the combine at almost 30 miles an hour. If the employee would have stepped out, he would have been hit right on the spot. You wouldn't believe the words I said. It wasn't very nice.
That's the kind of situation every driver wants to avoid.
They know they're in a big piece of equipment. They know they're not moving fast. So they're trying to take every precaution that they can.
So for the farmer, making your ride safer means their lives are a whole lot easier.
When piles of cars line up behind them, they do try to move over, but they're only going to do that when it's safe.
To Smithback, the problem of sharing the road with farm equipment is simply a two-way street.
You're in a bad spot as well as the guy driving that equipment, no matter what. And if you give him an opportunity, he'll help you. If you don't give him an opportunity, you're both going to be in trouble.
For News 3, I'm Chris Lewinberg.
One of the big things to remember during harvest, never pass equipment in a no passing zone.
Also watch for all signals from the farmers and give them time to turn before you try and pass. There's still a chance to get help after this summer's historic flooding.
What Sauk County residents are encouraged to do, that is next at 6.
After a beautiful fall day today, skies will be sunny for tomorrow, Wednesday, but temperatures will be about 10 to 15 degrees colder. I'll take a look at your first alert forecast in just a few minutes.
At the
Sauk County residents interested in applying for federal flooding will need to register with FEMA.
Anyone who has home, business, or agriculture damage related to the flooding this summer will need to register with FEMA. That's even if you've already reported your damage to Sauk County Emergency Management. There are 3 ways to apply for this FEMA funding. You can call the agency at the number listed right there on your screen. It's also up on our website. You can find it later. It's right there right now at channel3000.com. Register online at disasterassistance.gov. And there you'll want to click on the Start Your Recovery Now by filing a flood insurance claim. There's a banner there with that listed. You can also go to the Disaster Recovery Center in Reedsburg as soon as that opens. Agriculture losses, by the way, should be reported to the Farm Services Agency. That number at the bottom of your screen there, area code 608-355-4420.
Chief Meteorologist Gary Canalti joins us now, and it was a really nice day today.
Yeah, you know, after all the historic flooding, it's nice to have some periods where the weather is relatively dry, or even when we get precipitation.
Farmers can get to work in this stuff,
Yeah,
too.
they got to get their crops out of the field. But I think we'll start to see a little more chances of precipitation by the end of the week, and also see chillier temperatures. In fact, as we take a look at the time lapse from the Queen Bee Radio Skycam in Platteville, you can see beautiful sunshine today. Just some cirrus clouds to start out the day, and the afternoon almost crystal clear, and that takes us right up until about sunset. In fact, the live view from the Queen Bee Radio Skycam also showing clear skies. There's the moon on the eastern horizon there. The WISC Skycam looking back toward the west. The sun is just dipped below the horizon now, and the Edgewater Skycam in downtown Madison showing the Capitol underneath clear skies as well. As we check out the almanac for today, our high temperature here in Madison topped out at 62 degrees. Low temperature, a little chilly this morning at 30, but right now we're at 59 degrees. The skies are clear, the air is calm. Dew point temperature in the lower 30s. So So I'm thinking that's about where temperatures will be, probably in the lower to middle 30s by tomorrow morning. A tropical weather track shows a powerful hurricane Willa in the eastern Pacific Ocean. This storm briefly reached Category 5 status. Right now, a strong Category 4 hurricane with top winds just below Category 5 status, 155 miles per hour, moving to the north at about 8 miles per hour. Now, the forecast track takes it near the Mexican coastline as a Category 3 or Category 4 storm, and then weakens it rapidly as it rains itself out. Probably will cause tremendous amounts of flooding over interior portions of Mexico, and then weakens it to a tropical depression as it pushes into southern Texas, an area that doesn't need any more rain because they've had a lot of rain recently. So while Willa is pushing through the southern part of the United States, if you look at the snow depth, most of that is north of the U.S.-Canadian border, but colder than normal air funnels into the eastern part of the country because that comes right off the snowpack. The jet stream taking the moisture from Willa down to the south, and we're kind of in between. So the jet stream from the northwest, at least over our part of the Midwest, coming off the area where there's very little snow cover. So while we turn cooler, we don't see a lot in the way of precipitation. The colder weather heads toward New England, and the moisture with the heavier rains will probably stay in the southern part of the United States for the time being. As we check out our forecast for tonight, look for skies to be mostly clear. It'll be seasonably cold with a low temperature of 34. For tomorrow, about 10 to 15 degrees colder than the day. 49 for a high, even though we'll have mostly sunny skies. Future track, you can see those temperatures tumbling into the middle 30s by tomorrow morning. Tomorrow, there's northwesterly winds keeping high temperatures in the upper 40s to around 50. Tomorrow night, mostly clear, even a little colder with lows in the upper 20s. And on Wednesday, look for sunny skies, high temperatures eventually topping out in the upper 40s. As we look at the 7 to 10 day forecast, those temperatures remain cooler than normal. There will be some shower chances toward the end of the week, and those showers could even mix with a few flurries of snow from Saturday night into Sunday morning. Some more showers about Halloween, and then cooler weather for the end of next week.
Well, Aaron Rodgers and the Packers are back to work with 2 big games ahead of them in the next 2 weeks. So what's Mike McCarthy's plan? That story next in sports.
News
Well, the Badgers on the up and up this week, moving 3 spots to number 20 in the AP poll after beating Illinois on Saturday by 29 points. Wisconsin battling the elements as well this past weekend, which hopefully won't be the case this Saturday when they're on the road at Northwestern. Oh my gosh, look at that weather there. 11 a.m. kickoff in Evanston. The Wildcats are 4-1 in the Big Ten and have won their last 3 straight. I cannot get over the snow. Head coach Paul Chryst said last week that his team, especially quarterback Alex Hornibrook, hasn't arrived yet, and the rest of the team knows they have yet to play their best game.
Nothing in this conference is given or anything like that, and every team in this conference can compete, and no matter what side, east or west. So if you don't play your best football towards the end here, you're not going to do what you want to do. So definitely got to keep improving and start playing complete games.
Meanwhile, the women's hockey team back to a spot they're familiar with, number 1 in the country. The Badgers getting all 15 first-place votes in the National Division I poll this week. They were in that spot for 18 weeks in a row last year. But a big series ahead this weekend when the Golden Gophers come to LeBron Arena on Saturday. Now, still very early in the season, but head coach Mark Johnson expecting a solid game from both sides. And even though the Badgers are a perfect 8-0 so far this season, he wants more from his players.
It's just been a fun rivalry. It's been a battle in most games. You don't see a lot of games that are lopsided, but I anticipate both teams being very excited Saturday afternoon, and both teams will probably play their better games, even though it's early in the season. So it should be fun. I know our players will get fired up, and hopefully we can come out and execute probably better than we did this past weekend.
Meanwhile, the Packers head to Los Angeles this week to face the perfect 7-0 Rams. Now, LA, an 8.5-point favorite right now, which is the biggest underdog line of Aaron Rodgers' career. So hopefully he spent some time continuing to get healthy during the bye week. Head coach Mike McCarthy said today if doctors allow him to take that knee brace off completely, it'll obviously give him more range and mobility. But that decision is still to be determined. Meanwhile, Coach McCarthy says it's back to basics right now because this is when all the pieces have to come together.
Get into, start playing the real football. I mean, this is where the technique and, winning the fundamental component of the game is even more so, and it'll increase as you go into November, December. So I feel that's a normal pattern each and every year, and so it's important. Today is probably the best day that we could possibly have as a football team because it doesn't matter who we play next if we don't self-improve.
Finally tonight, a shout out to sports director Jay Wilson. He was inducted into the Wisconsin Silver Circle yesterday, which I had to look this up, not gonna lie, which is an award given by the National Academy of Television Arts and Sciences, so it's a big deal. It honors broadcasters who have made significant contributions to their market, which if you know Jay, he's done that and more for this community, especially when it comes to high school sports, especially doing those Prep Mania games every Friday. And, of course, the Badgers.
Congratulations, Jay.
You know that snow, it gets worse, than that, right?
I've heard that this happens.
We're going to go about 10 degrees cooler tomorrow, right?
10, maybe 15 degrees in some spots. High temperatures, upper 40s next couple of days. Low 50s at the end of the week, but the average high should be in the mid-50s. Some showers over the weekend, maybe mixed with a few flurries of snow Saturday night and Sunday morning, and then some more showers right around Halloween, just in time for the trick-or-treaters.
All right, Gary, thank you. Thank you for joining us for News 3 at 6.
Have a great night. We'll see you back here at 10. Congratulations, Jay.
Woo!